Today's guest reminds us that character education doesn't start with a program, it starts with people. Dr. Ashley Bowling currently serves as the principal of Florence Middle School, and she brings nearly 2 decades of experience in education, beginning in special education and growing into school leadership that is deeply rooted in collaboration, purpose, and care for people. Her heart is students, especially those who need adults to get it right. It's evident in everything she does. Ashley's leadership is grounded in the belief that culture starts with the adults. From launching the Falcon Way to creating meaningful traditions that celebrate both staff and students, she has built a school community where character isn't an add-on, it's the foundation. Her doctoral work focused on leading change from the school leadership perspective, and that lens shows up clearly in how she develops adult culture and shared responsibility at Florence Middle School. She was named the Alabama Assistant Principal of the Year in 2022 and now also co-facilitates the new Principal Leadership Network with NASSP, supporting leaders as they grow in both skill and confidence. In this interview, Ashley is going to help us think more deeply about how adult culture shapes community and why the way we show up for one another matters just as much as the programs that we implement. We are so grateful to share this conversation with you. Welcome back to Communities of Character. It's the podcast where we explore how character shapes leadership, culture, and community. I'm Jennifer, and always I'm joined by my co-host, Laura Casey.
Hi, everyone. We are so glad you're here. Today's conversation is one we think school leaders, educators will really connect with. Our guest is Ashley Bowling, principal of Florence Middle School. Ashley, we're so grateful you're joining us.
Thank you so much. I have to tell you, I'm a little bit of groupie of this podcast, so I follow this podcast.
Awesome.
So I'm having like an intellectual moment of I actually get to be on the podcast this time.
Awesome.
So thank you so much for this opportunity.
And Ashley, you've got to be sure to listen to this episode after we record it because I know this is going to be an amazing episode. Our listeners are going to be so excited to hear from you. And you've just been on this leadership and character journey for years now, right at the intersection of leadership and character. And so we'd love to start by asking, how did that work begin for you?
So my work with character probably began before I knew I was working with character, when I was a special education teacher. And I thought, if I don't learn how to relate to these children, nothing else I say matters. And so even before I knew that was something I was supposed to do, I felt like I was doing it. But then the intersection that you spoke of leadership was when I was an assistant principal. Our district sent a group of teachers, the principal and some teachers, through the Hope Institute, and learned a lot about the Hope Institute then, but didn't get to have that front seat, but learned just from when they would come back and share things and our work on core values that it really was the plate that everything else had to live on. So then a future rolls out and I become the principal of Florence Middle School. I was the assistant principal, became the principal, and then asked our superintendent, can I please send another team to Hope because I was a passenger and now I need to be a driver. Don't want to change where we're going, but need to really be in that driver's seat. And since then have just really made everything about the Falcon Way.
That's amazing. And Hope Institute, and we've shared before on this podcast just how incredible the work is at Hope Institute. And I love that you shared that. And I know we're going to hear more about that. And I also love how you shared that you were practicing character even before it had a name. You just knew that was something that you needed, your students needed from the beginning. And I'm just excited for our listeners to hear more from you about what's happening in your school. There are just some wonderful things happening at Florence Middle School.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm excited to tell about all the things that we have. We're lucky enough to get to be a site school where other schools that are working on character come and visit. And one of the number one questions I get is, man, you got a lot of things going. How do you do it? And I tell them, you start. And the rest kind of falls into place.
That's really neat. And, it's neat to hear you talk about your journey from making connections in the classroom to becoming an assistant principal to, sitting in that driver's seat, as you said. So for new or aspiring principals that are listening, how did you begin or continue building that culture of character in your first year as principal?
I think I did. Well, I know I did a lot of work with what were my core values. Before I know how I'm going to behave as a leader and how I need to respond, I have to know what I believe. And and on this days that those decisions are being ripped to pieces, I have to know at my core that is what I believe. So I, as a leader, did a little different approach. When I was the assistant principal, I was following the vision and it was all about students. When I shifted to the seat, not that I don't care about my kiddos, because I do, but my impact on kiddos is I focus on my staff, and I had to get the adult culture right. And so I did a lot of surveys and a lot of talking to people. I did one-on-one meetings where I got a sub for 3 days, and for 10 minutes, I met with every adult in the building, from every teacher, aide, custodian, CMP, everybody. First of all, how are you doing? What are your goals this year? How do you impact student achievement in this building? And how do you make sure we're good Falcons? What's your part in it? I mean, one lady told me, I give everybody that wants a hug a hug. Man, that's a great thing. So, you know who I talk to on days I need a hug? Her. And now that was a one-time thing. That has become just something I do every year, every semester, the one-on-one meetings. And if I don't put out the email pretty soon that those are coming, people now come remind me that we haven't had it. So I started that. Something I stole from you, Jennifer. Well, I won't say stole because we're in the world of education. I borrowed from you was staff check-in that you do in your newsletter. I don't have quite as large a staff as you, but there's 100+ people in this building. So I put it in the newsletter. And because some teachers aren't just going to walk up and ask me questions, some will, but that is a intimate time that we have, that you have my attention, and let's get some things solved. And that was important. So I started with, let's focus on my adults. I always say, if you take care of the teachers, they won't eat the children.
I love that. Well, two things really that stood out to me there. Like, you talk about your own purpose and your own why, and like what a powerful way to start is knowing why you do what you do and who you are, and that guides your character journey. But I love also the intentionality of the time that you spend with adults and how powerful it is that you are continuing to build connections with the adults in your building who are impacting kids. That's really awesome.
Thank
For
you.
sure.
Thank you.
And Ashley, you've already mentioned several initiatives that have really brought the vision to life at Florence Middle School. And as you were talking, I kept thinking about our listeners, our principals, our teacher leaders, our assistant principals. They're always looking for ideas of what actually works in real schools. So I want to encourage everyone listening to really lean in here. And Ashley, I'd love for you to share a little more about other initiatives and how they've played out in your school. I just think there are some key takeaways here that people could adapt to their own communities.
The very first thing that I learned at Hope was it felt like everybody had a way. Everybody's got a catchy slogan. And I wanted to make sure our slogan just was not a poster. That was really how we acted. And so we brought that, and I say our principal team brought that during our district meetings in the summer and said, we shouldn't have a Florence Middle Way, a Florence Highway. We are blessed that we are one feeder pattern. We should have the Falcon Way. And then we talked about that's not going to look the same at every level. So we decided we are Falcons, we are family, we are achievers, we are loyal, we are collaborative, we are one Florence, we never give up, and we serve others, and with integrity we live out the Falcon Way. But how you teach a Falcon at Handy, which is our preschool, and what that means to a Falcon before they graduate is very different. And that's where our job of teaching character comes in. So first, we branded that. Buddy, we said it. So I think you've got to decide, what are you going to stand on and how are you going to brand it? I mean, if you're in a leadership position, you're very much a CEO. So marketing better be one of your strengths. And if it's not, your AP better have that strength, or you better have somebody. So how are you going, what's your branding package and how do you communicate it? There's nothing that comes out from the middle school that does not say something about FMS, where our Falcons learn to fly, because that's our part in the Falcon Way, because you come to middle school and you get all these electives. So say all that to say, one of the things that we do is through elementary, they're learning what it means to be a Falcon. When they enter secondary school, about a month into school, I spent $100 and I bought a vinyl banner with "We Are Falcons." and has a big falcon head on it. And we do a big banner signing ceremony. We bring all the kids in. We talk to them about what it means to be a falcon. And we talk about, are you ready to make a commitment? If you're not ready, please don't. And then we play the song Sign, Seal, Deliver, We Are Family, and they come up and they sign the banner, and our social media is blowing up that day because I want everybody to see their baby sign the banner. And then the banners are displayed in what we call our commons area, which is our front entrance. When you walk in, there's the banners. And it's also the first time that they're referred to as the class of whatever. And then at the end of the year, we take the banner down, make sure any student that has enrolled throughout the year gets the opportunity to sign, and we do a flight ceremony. So we say these students have concluded this part of their educational journey. They have learned these character values. And then I physically take the banner and hand it to to the freshman center principal. And that is kind of like their passage to middle school. From middle school to high school. And then we really wanted to do something that kind of concluded, but not have a graduation, but tied into our core values. Because yes, we are producing fantastic academics, but we just really want to produce great falcons. They can draw and they can play sports and they can make great scores on their ACTs, but I just really at the end of the day need you to be a great person. And with this work being at the center of it, we tied We Are Achievers. That's one of our core values, achievement. But it really was about just putting it all together and celebrating and stamping and marketing that. So that's two things. We did the banner signing. We made it public. Next steps with that is how do we get the parents in the building? Really want to make it like a national signing day. Have learned in leadership that I have to go slow to go fast. And if I walk in and go, we're doing this, I got a lot of job postings the next day because my team's like, whoa. But now they're like, oh boy, here's her idea. Let's make it happen. And the third big initiative is we do Falcon Way cards. So if a student is caught displaying the Falcon Way, they get a Falcon Way slip. So it's kind of like a PBIS model, but where our caveat's a little different is the kids can also recommend students that they saw demonstrating the Falcon Way. And my ag teacher, who's also my teacher of the year, she's fantastic, made a true little treasure box that's in my office. They get their little ticket. They come to my office like at the dentist where they had a good appointment. They get their little treat, which is sometimes Takis because, they're middle schoolers. And then their name goes in the newsletter. We email their parents. We call their parents. We make a big production about it. And it has been fantastic. We've even included our subs in it. So our subs can give a sub ticket for how students demonstrate the Falcon Way. So if they had a kid that helped them, hey, well, that's not really how we do this, because we really wanted kids to hold each other accountable. Mm-hmm. I can tell you all day how I want you to act. When you start governing yourself, we've got something going.
Those are all powerful images that I have in my head now. I would love to come visit your school. I bet there are other people who would too, just to see this in action. There's so much intentionality there you talked about adult culture, you talked about student commitment, making sure everyone's included, and just all the joy and celebration that's in that work. That's what really matters.
Thank you. We try to have fun, and I'm glad you brought up celebration. We do monthly celebration for teachers. We sing birthday songs to kids. If school is your safe place, I also want it to be your fun place. Now, I got high expectations, and I need you to learn, but I'm going to love you through it.
I love that. If school is your safe space, I want it to be your fun space too. That is powerful.
And I need it to be that way for my adults too.
So you've mentioned about kind of your district and how as a district you have really bought into how you are as Falcons. What does that look like in your community? As your community bought in, what has it done for your community as far as, how they feel about it or what it's done kind of to elevate your community?
So we have given all of our PTOs Falcon Way signs and asked them to go put it in the community, go put it in businesses. So we are a college town and also the high school. So while we work well together, we both have football seasons at the same time. And so sometimes we have to rotate colors. And being able to brand and say we are Falcons, we are hearing in advertisements, we are Falcons. We are hearing that's the Falcon Way. We are getting community members calling and saying, I saw your kids doing this and that's awesome. One of the things that I wanted our kids to do, because I'm a firm believer in service, and one of our core values is serve others. And I felt like we were doing a really good job besides that area. And one Florence, that's one of our big catchphrases. You hear all kind of people saying one Florence now. I've seen it on shirts. I mean, it's really kind of, we've given them the narrative. If you don't give people a narrative, they create their own. So we have helped brand the narrative of the things. Now, are we perfect? Absolutely not. Show me perfect and I'll show you an example of a non-example. I haven't found perfect yet, but we have really worked really hard on crafting our own narrative. And I'll just give you an example. There was a Facebook post that went out about, I'm a transition school. So they come to me in 7th grade. Is this the place to go? And oh my gosh, the amount of parents that got on, you would have almost thought that I had given them the words. But then when I stopped, I thought, I've talked to them at PTO. I've included in every one of my messages, like they were using our core values and how they were telling this mother, your baby needs to go here. Look at all these options and da 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 da. It was just really affirming to see it's sticking. It's sticking because that's who we are.
It's so neat to see that shared language, not only across staff and students, but now also in your community.
Yes, yeah.
Ashley, character.org talks about the importance of adults cultivating their own character through collaboration, shared leadership, and decision making. So, how does your school create time and space for that work? Because it seems like there's just never enough time.
We start in the summer. We do a voluntary summer day. And this is kind of crazy, but when I became the assistant principal, I just had this, we have this huge building. And I was like, how do I make a duty chart and all of these things for all these adults? I don't know who drops their kid off when, who does this. So I asked the principal, I said, can the teachers make it? And the principal at the time said, we've never done it that way. And I said, well, our worst enemy is Amos at my other school. Let's try something. And so that summer planning day, everything that they give us feedback on summer planning day, they get to make it work. They do their own duty chart. They decided on their own that they wanted to build a period of instruction. Well, I'll say instruction, a period in our day called the Falcon period, where every kid gets what they need. So we do our character ed lessons in there. We take a month and talk about what it means to be family. We take a month, what it means to be achievers. They developed that idea. I didn't. I got out of their way. So I really, really spend a lot of time in empowering their voice because I want them to empower student voice. Well, I can't tell you that's what I want if I don't model it with you. And I say you make time for the things you want to make time for.
It is so true. And for you to recognize that you needed to get out of their way and empower them and allow them to do what would be best for them, I think just really shows the respect that you have for them and the trust that you have built with them. And I just think that it's a powerful way to stay grounded in reality and not just assumptions.
Yeah, and Ashley, Principle 2 from character.org emphasizes giving students opportunities to study, discuss, internalize, and articulate those core values. So I know you mentioned you have this Falcon period where you're teaching those things. So what does it look like for them to have those opportunities to do those things?
So this is probably my favorite question y'all are asking. And I know y'all are like, I know it's a great question. I created it. But through the Falcon period, man, our kids have been rock stars. They developed our coloring book. So they wanted to think about how to make the Falcon Way tangible for our preschool students. So one of the things is every Falcon class gets to nominate a student to be on my principal advisory committee that I meet with. And now look, these are not like, I didn't want the leader that's already the leader of every group. I do want that kid, but I want the kid that probably doesn't talk a lot in class because guess who's got great ideas? That baby, that kid does. And so this group meets and they are so much fun. But this group decided that their peers wanted to make the Falcon Way tangible for little kids. So they got with our art students. This was kid driven. Got our art students to develop a coloring book that we printed and during Christmas delivered to our preschool, sang Christmas carols, and gave them the coloring book. And our PTO believed in it so much they donated colors to accompany the coloring book. And the coloring book is the Falcon Way coloring book. So that's one thing. And then I'm super excited about this other project that's come out of that. So, when you empower people, sometimes, always, I won't say sometimes, they will always do more than you expected. Even though initially they thought, man, she's crazy. Now I have teachers coming to me all the time. Let's do this. Let's do this. My ag teacher came and said, hey, let's build a food box for kids, like the community. We send food bags home, but what if they don't want to get on the bus with their food bag? Let's build a community box. Let's put it in the front of our school. Let our different organizations stock it. And so she did. She called it the Serve Others, the Falcon Serve box. So now we have a box that not only our kids can access, their families. And then I found out when I got back from Christmas that one of our families came up here and stocked it over Christmas break because she thought her friends might need it over the break. I thought, you know what? She may not make a 4 on the on the ACAP. She's a good kid.
Wow.
She's a good Falcon.
It is so cool to me to hear like how those things are really just woven into your school life. I mean, they are not separate. They are not just kind of one-off things. They are truly woven into what you're doing in the school day with your students.
They have to be if it's going to a behavior that will last longer than me. People will forget who the principal of Florence Middle School was in 2025 to 26. They will probably always remember that they followed the Falcon Way.
Ashley, you are dropping some nuggets in this episode. I mean, this has been just amazing. My next question has to do with leadership and leading by example because it is so central to our character work. So talk a little bit about Hope Institute and how working with Hope has supported students and staff in living out those values.
What I need every listener who ever listens this to know is Hope is not a package deal you go buy and then they come do fidelity checks. Hope just makes you do an internal reflection to if I get this part of it right. And what is right at Sunshine Elementary may not be right at Strawberry Elementary. Like what is for our kids? It's like if I can build it from the ground up, I probably will be willing to fly in that airplane. And that's what Hope taught me because, you hear of all these other programs and I'm sure they're great, but it's like super expensive. Okay, well, what pot of money am I paying for that? When really, man, I got educated people in the building. We decided what was important to us, how we wanted to act. And so Hope made you think about that common language, your core values. What's your touchstone? What are you going to stand on? And without somebody really giving you that reflection time, I don't know. I tell people we drive 2.5 hours to Hope. We're in North Alabama. We drive to Birmingham. We have 2.5 hours of impactful conversation getting to Hope the entire time we're at Hope. And then we have a planning session on the way back. And then we turn it around. But guess who turns it around? Not me. I'm real quiet when we get back from Hope. It's the 3 that I took with me.
So good. That's so good. And just that deep work that you have to do, the thinking, the talking, the processing, the reflecting, all of that it's hard work. And like you said, it is not just a program. It's not a checklist that Hope gives. And that is the philosophy of Hope Institute. It started out that way and it has continued.
And actually, as we kind of wrap up, you have given so many nuggets that I'm frantically writing down over here. But if our listeners remember just one message from your years of leadership work, what do you want it to be about character and its role in building meaningful and hopeful futures for students?
So I would really want people to realize it is not extra and you just have to get started. And I think it starts with the leadership core values. One of my core values is, the main ones, we're going to be safe and we're going to have high expectations. I do not have all the answers and I 100% expect failure. And if I lead by those and just get started, great things are going to happen. And so my advice to people would be just get started. We teach so much more than standards and now more than ever schools are tasked with teaching and handling so much more. If you don't get what I like to call the human effect right, there's probably not any other plan that's going to work.
I love that message. Just get started. It's such powerful encouragement, especially for leaders who feel overwhelmed with where to begin.
Yeah. And where we're at now, we do put some money towards it. We do, because it's what we believe in. We started with nothing. Our first banner cost $98.
That's not a lot. You can come by that pretty easily. And it just shows you just got to get started. You got to start somewhere. Ashley, you have shared so much. And I know that our listeners are going to want to connect with you and continue learning from you. Maybe even come visit you. I know that I am definitely going to come visit you at Florence Middle School. Yes.
Please.
What is the best way for our listeners to engage with you?
So the best way would be my email.
Awesome. We will be sure to put that in your show notes. Where can our listeners follow your school on social media?
So we are pretty heavy still on Facebook, even though I have some kids that are trying to get me to go down the TikTok lane. And I said, sure, do a trial period. Let me see it. And so that's what they're working on right now. But we are Florence Middle School on Facebook, and we really try to showcase everything fun that's happening in our building.
That's great. And all of our listeners, we'll be sure to include the links in the show notes. So be sure to check them out and be sure to connect with Ashley if you'd like to learn more from her.
Ashley, thank you so much for sharing your story and your leadership and your nuggets with us today. Your work is such a strong example of what happens when character is treated as the foundation, not the extra in schools.
And to our listeners, if this conversation resonated with you, we'd love to hear from you. Head on over to Instagram, connect with us. We're at coc.podcast. Just let us know what stood out or what character work looks like in your school.
And be sure to check out previous episodes. You'll find conversations with educators, leaders, and community members, all centered on building cultures of character.
And until next time, keep building character in your community, one decision, one relationship, one conversation at a time. And as Dr. Ashley Bowling says, just get started.